What if I told you that one hairstyle, one glance, and a few seemingly simple photos just sent the entire internet into absolute meltdown? Because right now, BTS's Jimin isn't just making headlines for his performances. He's making headlines for existing. And somehow, every single day since BTS's comeback, Jimin keeps unlocking a brand new visual era that has fans asking the same question over and over again. How does he keep getting even more unreal? Because this isn't just about being handsome anymore. This is about presence. This is about impact. And this is about Jimin turning everything, from a concert stage in Seoul, to an interview in New York, to a casual Instagram post, into a full-blown global event. So let's talk about the Jimin phenomenon that fans cannot stop obsessing over. Because honestly, his visuals are not just blooming, they're taking over. It all started hitting differently during BTS's comeback era, when Jimin reminded everyone exactly why he's one of the most magnetic performers in the world. On stage, he was already doing what Jimin does best: explosive energy, razor-sharp performance, stable live vocals, and that unmistakable voice that instantly cuts through everything. He wasn't just performing, he was commanding attention. And then, just when people thought they had recovered from his stage presence, Jimin decided to casually destroy everyone again, this time with his hair. Yes, his hair. Because somehow Jimin's hairstyle became one of the hottest topics of the comeback, and if you know exactly what I'm talking about. At the Gwangwamun concert in Seoul, Jimin stepped out with that unforgettable long-haired look that instantly made people do a double take. And before anyone could even process it properly, the public had already given it a nickname. That guy with the Bukchong lion hair. I mean, tell me that is not the most iconic thing ever. It wasn't just a hairstyle, it became a moment. There was something wild and elegant about it at the same time. Bold, flowing, dramatic, and completely impossible to ignore. And the craziest part? That was only the beginning. Because when BTS later appeared at Spotify x BTS Swimside in New York, Jimin showed up again. And once again, people completely lost it. This time, he appeared with his long blonde hair tied back, and instantly, game over. Fans were already chanting his name before the stage even began, proving once again that Jimin's popularity doesn't need build-up. It arrives before he does. And the second he appeared, attention locked onto him all over again. Because Jimin has this rare ability to make one small styling choice feel like a cultural reset. He doesn't just wear a look, he transforms it into a conversation. And that's exactly what happened here. His long blonde hair, pulled back with that soft but striking energy, made him look almost unreal, like he had stepped straight out of a fantasy film. Which is probably why people started saying something that, honestly, feels painfully accurate. Long-haired Jimin is a fairy. And somehow, that still doesn't feel dramatic enough, because the reaction wasn't just from fans. Media outlets and major platforms were noticing it too. Fast Paper reportedly couldn't hide the obsession, basically saying long-haired Jimin needs to stay forever. And honestly, that's not a hairstyle opinion anymore. That's a petition. Then you have fashion voices noticing something even bigger. Because when Jimin changes, trends tend to follow. And that's where this gets really interesting. This wasn't just about him looking good, this was about him shifting the visual conversation around men's style altogether. The layered long hair, the ash blonde tone, the way the hair moved with every performance and every turn of his head. It all created a mood that felt fresh, bold, and instantly influential. In other words, Jimin didn't just debut a hairstyle, he may have launched a whole new wave. And if that wasn't enough, Jimin then did what he does best. He switched it up again. Because while fans were still spiraling over his comeback hair, Jimin dropped a series of Instagram photos that felt way quieter, but somehow hit just as hard. And this is where it becomes impossible not to admire him. Because Jimin doesn't need dramatic styling or giant sets to leave an impression. Sometimes all he needs is a sweater, good lighting, and one look at the camera. In these photos, he appeared with blonde hair, a beige knit sweater, and slacks. Simple, clean, understated. But the result? Absolutely devastating. There was this soft elegance to the whole thing. Nothing felt forced. Nothing felt loud. And yet, somehow, he still managed to create an atmosphere so distinct that you couldn't scroll past it. That's the power of Jimin. He can take the most minimal styling and make it feel unforgettable. One moment, he's bringing the camera close to his eyes and giving that playful, almost teasing energy. The next moment, he's leaning comfortably into the frame with this calm, mature confidence that feels effortless. And what makes it so dangerous is that he somehow balances boyish charm and grown elegance at the exact same time. That duality is what gets people every single time, because Jimin never feels one-dimensional. He can look soft and untouchable in one shot, and then emotionally overwhelming in the next. And then came the black and white photos. And wow, that's when the mood shifted completely. Gone was the warm knit softness. Instead, Jimin appeared in a simple white t-shirt and black jeans, and suddenly the whole energy turned deeper, moodier, more cinematic. Still minimal. Still natural. But now there was this restrained emotional intensity in the photos that made everything feel more intimate. This is why people call him a master of pictorials, because Jimin doesn't just pose for pictures. He tells a story with stillness. He knows how to make a single expression feel like it means something. He knows how to create atmosphere without needing excess. And most importantly, he knows exactly how to make people feel something through the screen. That's not just beauty, that's artistry. And maybe that's why this era feels so special. Because yes, Jimin is stunning right now. Yes, the long blonde hair has become a full cultural event. Yes, his visuals have people collectively falling apart on a daily basis. But underneath all of that, there's also something else happening. We're seeing Jimin show different sides of himself more clearly than ever. On stage, he's intense, sharp, and electrifying. Off stage, he's stylish, thoughtful, and quietly captivating. And somehow, both versions feel completely authentic. That contrast is what keeps people hooked. You never know which version of Jimin is about to appear next, but you know it's going to leave an impact. And if all of this already sounds like enough to dominate the conversation, Jimin still had one more reason to make fans emotional. Because after wrapping up performances in the US, he didn't just disappear after the spotlight faded. He came back to fans with something much more personal. A message. A warm, sincere one. Jimin reportedly expressed concern that he might have looked too cold during the previous performance, and apologized for how cold the fans must have been while waiting for him. And if you know Jimin, that tracks perfectly. Because even in the middle of all this global attention, fashion buzz, viral visuals, and comeback chaos, he still makes space to worry about ARMY. He still thinks about the people standing there for him. He still comes back with gratitude. And honestly, I think that's what makes this entire moment hit even harder. Because the reason people can't stop talking about Jimin isn't just because he looks like that. It's not just the hair. It's not just the photos. It's not just the performance clips. It's that all of it comes wrapped in someone who still feels deeply human, deeply sincere, and deeply connected to the people who love him. That combination? That's unbeatable. And now, with BTS back home after finishing their US schedule and preparing to launch their world tour in Goyang this April, you can already feel it. This is only the beginning. If Jimin is causing this much chaos with comeback stages, tied-back blonde hair, and a few Instagram photos, what exactly is going to happen once the tour fully begins? Because if this era has proven anything, it's this. Jimin is not just having a visual peak. He is living in a permanent state of visual evolution. Every appearance becomes a new headline. Every styling choice becomes a new obsession. Every photo becomes a new reason for the internet to collectively lose its mind. And somehow, he still hasn't peaked, which is honestly terrifying. In the best way possible. So tell me in the comments, which Jimin look has completely ruined you the most so far? The Bukchong lion mane? The tied-back blonde fairy hair? Or the soft beige sweater Instagram prince era? Because one thing is very clear. No matter which version shows up, Jimin is making this comeback impossible to survive. And honestly, I don't think any of us want to.